A single mason jar, 50 cents worth of mung beans in 3 days. That's all it takes to grow a full jar of fresh, nutrient-dense food from scratch. No soil, no sunlight, no electricity. The jar fits inside a coat pocket. But that's just the simplest technique. Homeless people across American cities have built entire food production systems using discarded containers, body heat, wild plants that grow through snow, and a fermentation trick that turns 1 day of food into a full month. The fastest method is sprouting, and it starts with that mason jar. Mung beans sprout in 3 to 5 days, lentils in 2 to 3, alfalfa in 4 to 6. The process is dead simple. Soak the seeds in a glass jar for 8 to 12 hours. Drain the water. Rinse with fresh water twice a day. By the second day, you can see small white tails pushing out of the seeds. By day 3 to 5, the jar is full of fresh, edible sprouts ready to eat. The nutritional payoff is impressive. Sprouting increases the vitamin C content of mung beans by up to 285% compared to the dry seed. It also boosts bioavailable iron, B vitamins, and protein digestibility. You are not just growing food, you are upgrading it. A 1-pound bag of mung beans costs $2 to $3 at any Asian grocery store and produces 8 to 10 full jars of sprouts. That works out to about 25 to 30 cents per meal of fresh produce. And the whole system requires zero soil, zero sunlight. Sprouts actually grow best in the dark, and zero electricity. But here's the part that connects this directly to street survival. Seeds germinate fastest at 65 to 75 degrees. In winter, the outdoors are far below that. The solution is your own body. The microclimate inside a sleeping bag or a layered coat hovers around 75 to 85 degrees, which happens to be the ideal germination range. Tuck a sealed jar of soaking seeds inside your sleeping bag at night, and your body heat becomes the incubator. Mung beans that normally take 5 days at room temperature can sprout in 3 days using this method. Some car dwellers keep 3 jars rotating in their cup holders, staggering the start dates, so 1 jar is always ready to eat when the previous batch runs out. 50 cents a week for continuous fresh food production. Pretty clever for a glass jar and some beans. However, sprouts are just the beginning. The next step up takes a little longer, but produces something even more nutrient-dense. Microgreens are baby plants harvested 7 to 14 days after germination. According to a 2012 USDA study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, they contain 4 to 40 times the nutrient concentration of their fully grown counterparts. Tiny plants, a massive nutritional punch. The homeless microgreen setup costs almost nothing. Take a discarded plastic takeout container or a clamshell salad box from any restaurant recycling bin. Punch drainage holes in the bottom. Add an inch or two of dirt from any park or vacant lot. Scatter seeds densely across the surface and mist with water. Sunflower seeds from the baking aisle of a grocery store cost $2 to $3 per pound and grow into harvestable microgreens in 8 to 12 days. Radish seeds from Dollar Tree seed packets cost 25 cents to $1 and sprout even faster, 7 to 10 days. Pea shoots take 10 to 14 days. The only requirement is about 4 to 6 hours of indirect light per day. A south-facing window at a public library, a laundromat shelf that catches afternoon sun, or even the dashboard of a parked car. 1 container produces enough greens for 2 to 3 servings. Start a new tray every 4 days, and you will have a continuous harvest rolling. But growing food is only half the picture. The other half is recognizing the food that's already growing everywhere around you, even in the dead of winter. And this is where the video gets wild. Urban parks, vacant lots, highway medians, and sidewalk edges in every U.S. city contain edible plants that survive through winter. The average person walks past free food every single day without recognizing it. Rose hips are the fruit of wild rose bushes. They hang on the branches all winter after the first frost, small red or orange bulbs at the tips of thorny stems. A single cup of rose hips contains roughly 540 milligrams of vitamin C. That's over 6 times the recommended daily intake. They grow in every U.S. state and can be eaten raw, dried, or brewed into tea. Pine needle tea is even more accessible. Needles from eastern white pine, Scots pine, and ponderosa contain 4 to 5 times more vitamin C by volume than orange juice. Steep a handful of fresh green needles in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. Free, abundant, available year-round, and it prevents scurvy, which is not just a pirate problem. Vitamin C deficiency still affects people with limited food access. Dandelion roots survive winter underground. Dig them from any park lawn with a stick or knife, roast them over a small flame, and you've got a hot beverage that tastes remarkably close to coffee. The roots contain inulin, a prebiotic fiber that supports gut health, plus potassium and calcium. Cattails grow near any pond, stream, or drainage ditch. The roots are edible year-round, even under a layer of ice. Peel the outer layer, and the starchy core inside provides 150 to 200 calories per rhizome. Native Americans used cattail roots as a staple food for thousands of years. There is a reason the plant grows on every continent except Antarctica. One critical safety note: never eat any wild plant unless you are absolutely certain of the identification. Some edible plants have toxic lookalikes. Poison hemlock resembles wild carrot. Yew berries are deadly. University extension services and identification apps like iNaturalist can help confirm what you are looking at before you eat it. Now here is where the food system gets sophisticated. You have sprouted fresh greens, foraged wild plants, maybe scored some dumpster salvaged cabbage from behind a grocery store. But fresh food spoils in 2 to 3 days without a fridge. How do you make it last? Fermentation. One of the oldest food preservation techniques on Earth, and it requires exactly 2 things: salt and a jar. Chop whatever vegetables you have. Pack them into a jar with roughly a tablespoon of salt per quart. Press everything below the liquid line. Cover loosely. In 3 to 7 days at any temperature above freezing, lactofermentation transforms perishable vegetables into shelf-stable, probiotic food that lasts 3 to 4 weeks without refrigeration. One batch of fermented cabbage or dandelion greens turns a 2-day food supply into a month-long food supply. The fermentation process also increases bioavailable B vitamins and creates live probiotics that support immune function. For someone living on the street with zero medical access, gut health is the frontline defense against illness. Salt is the only ingredient you need to buy, and a 26-ounce container from the dollar store costs about $1. That single container supports dozens of fermentation batches. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. I cover street survival and urban resourcefulness every week. Beyond growing and preserving food, there is an entire infrastructure of free food access that operates across the country, and navigating it strategically is a skill in itself. Feeding America operates over 200 food banks and 60,000 food pantries and meal programs nationwide. In 2023, the network distributed roughly 5.3 billion meals. The organization Falling Fruit has mapped over 1.5 million free food sources worldwide on an open-source platform, including urban fruit trees, nut trees, and public food gardens. Experienced street survivors layer these resources together. Monday at a church pantry for canned goods and rice. Wednesday foraging rose hips and dandelion roots in a city park. A jar of sprouts ready on Thursday. Fermented vegetables stretching through the weekend. Saturday, gleaning leftover produce from a closing farmer's market, where 5 to 20% of food typically goes unsold. The combination is what makes it work. Pantry staples for calories, sprouts and microgreens for vitamins, foraged plants for nutrition that money cannot easily buy, fermentation for preservation. Each source fills a gap that the others leave open. So, what does this all add up to? America wastes 120 billion pounds of food per year. The average American household spends about $475 per month per person on groceries. And somehow, the people with the least resources have built a parallel food system that produces fresh, nutritious, preserved food for close to $0 per day using mason jars, takeout containers, wild plants, salt, and body heat. 120 billion pounds wasted, and the people who cannot afford a single wasted calorie figured out how to waste the least of what is left. That is not poverty. That is a food system built from pure resourcefulness, and it deserves a much closer look. If this changed how you think about food, subscribe. If you want to see how homeless people sleep comfortably in small cars with no space, that video is on screen now.